there. We're still going to continue with the shell model. This is the fourth lecture on shell model, and as I said that shell model does demand a lot number of classes to understand it better. Okay, so when we actually talked about this energy splitting or energy level splitting, if we actually consider the spin orbit on interaction, the fine structure comes into the picture. Okay, so if you consider the spin orbit interaction, the fine structure will actually come into this picture, and if we use that fine structure, we can actually explain the magic numbers. So our target for the last few lectures has been to understand magic numbers by using the fine structure idea and Woods-Saxon potential. So when we consider the Woods-Saxon potential or any kind of potential, we do have the Hamiltonian, and this Hamiltonian is usually H naught. But in this case, since we said that there is a spin orbit interaction, the Hamiltonian will also have an additional term which is L dot S. This L dot S tells me what is the spin and the orbital angular momentum interaction. Okay, and that interaction part included, it will actually give me a splitting of the energy level, which gives rise to the hyperfine structure. Okay, so this term is basically added to the Hamiltonian. So this is the addition that we have seen in the last class, and we already know what is a Hamiltonian operator. We also said that the Hamiltonian operator, if you go back into quantum mechanics, you know that it will commute with L square, Lz, S square and Sz, right? So in simple words, commute means you can measure two variables at the same instant of time. Okay, but in general, if we say the position and the momentum, they don't commute. It simply means that we cannot measure both of them at the same time. Okay, so that is what is commutation means. Okay, and physical interpretation of that is, we also saw that we can actually define L square, Lz, S square and Zz components, but then H actually does not commute with Lz and Sz. So if you look into the formula, we are now interested in what H commutes with, not H naught. Okay, H naught is the Hamiltonian. H has got an L dot S term, so we are interested with what it commutes. Okay, so it was seen that it does not commute with Lz and Sz, so it does not commute with these two terms. Okay, but then it does commute with these two terms. So it commutes with L square and S square, and then we say that if L is equal to 1, the magnetic quantum number will be given by 1, 0 or minus 1, okay, and so on. If it is 2, there will be 5 numbers. If it is 3, there would be 7 numbers and so on. Okay, based on this you actually get the multiplicity, if you remember your atomic physics. Okay, so we do have this Fr L dot S factor, which is the additional term in the Hamiltonian, and because of this it does not commute with Lz and Sz. But then if we go further, we also see that it commutes with J square and Jz. Okay, and what is J? J is nothing but L plus S. Okay, so the spin angular momentum number and the orbital angular momentum quantum number, all these are added up and we actually get the total angular momentum quantum number. So if we just write it down in quantum mechanical term in units of h cross square, we can simply write it down as j to j plus 1 into h cut square, and the z component is nothing but mh into mj into h. And what is mj? J minus 1 minus j, and so if we write down mj, it is nothing but ml plus ms. Okay, and then we know that L, what is the value, S, what is the value, J, what is the value, Mj, what is the value. So all these are definite values that we already know now. Okay, so whatever we have done yesterday, it is based on this, and then what we did was we evaluated L dot S, and I told you to do this evaluation on your own. Okay, then I have shown it to you that if we consider J is equal to L plus half, okay, for L is equal to 0, it is the S state, no splitting. But when J is equal to L plus half, we get L h square by 2. And when J is equal to L minus half, we get minus h cut square by 2 into L plus 1. And then if we find out the difference between these two, we actually get the splitting. Okay, so yesterday I also told you that this is a very long topic, so I might not be able to ask you a single question based on this topic, because then it will be around 15-20 marks. Okay, I cannot ask that question, I don't have that liberty, so I will add part by part. So I think this is an important part of the question, that why does the energy level split in larger distance as we proceed from lower to the upper surface. So you have to basically show the splitting here. Okay, and when we show the splitting, we see that this is nothing but dependent on L. So if L is equal to 0, as in case of s orbital, we don't get any splitting. But when L changes to, let's say, 1, that means we are talking about the p orbital, we get that there is a splitting. Okay, and then as we keep on increasing the values of L, that means we are going from s, p, d, f and so on, we see that this splitting becomes more and more. So larger the value of L, larger is the splitting. Okay, so this was a very important conclusion that we came across the last class. And for S level won't split because L is equal to 0, and then there is only one value of S which is possible. Okay, so for L is equal to 0, it won't split. So what is the conclusion here from this final slide is that all other states will split. Okay, so this is very important. You can just read it through, you can write it down, I think, because this is important. For exam purpose, whatever is written on the slide, that much can be written. Okay, you don't need to write everything what I say, I'm just explaining it a bit extra. So what happens with the S level is it won't split, as we said, but then P will split, D will actually split in larger distance, and so on. So as we go to higher and higher energy states, S, P, D, F, G and so on, okay, all of them will start splitting, and the splitting will be larger and larger. Okay, so that is important. So that relation of h cut square by 2 into 2L plus 1 is responsible for this. Okay, and we should also remember that L is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, and then we have got the s, p, d, f orbitals. Okay, so even if you are doing your atomic or molecular physics, I think this is very preliminary, you might have done it in your undergraduation also, so we need to remember this because we are using the same concept here. Okay, so then what happens is we do have the understanding of splitting, and then in the problem, okay, what we do is we add L dot S. We don't add L dot S. Okay, so if we add L dot S, okay, to this particular problem, what we have is E is equal to n plus 3 by 2 h cross omega. Now this is also something which you have already done, and we have also discussed it when we were discussing about harmonic oscillator, that these are the energy levels, okay, along which we actually can have the electrons or the protons or the neutrons placed, okay, depending on what system you are studying. And from there we actually get that small n is equal to 2n plus L. This is something which we have already seen in the previous lecture when we were discussing harmonic oscillator. Now to this particular factor we are actually adding L dot S. Okay, so you will eventually see that when we are considering this problem on Woods-Saxon potential, the energy will be in this similar line. Okay, E is equal to n plus 3 by 2 h cross omega. So we have now two values of J. One is L plus half and the other one is L minus half, and I think we should remember this: J is equal to L h square by 2 and J is equal to minus h cut square by 2 into L plus 1, because when you write down for your exams, I think you have to derive this by using J is equal to L plus half, and you have to derive this by using J is equal to L minus half. So if you can remember the final answer, I think it will be a bit helpful to tell you that okay, you are writing down the correct answer. Okay, and then you subtract this from this and you get what is the splitting. Okay, so that is there. So we will, I'm just written it again, and then we know n is equal to 2n plus n. Okay, so if we actually write down any atomic configuration, see, this is actually a part of atomic physics, but then we are using it in nuclear physics also, and I think this is you have already seen, but let me just repeat this. I think you already know it. Okay, so if you are actually writing down a configuration or something like this, it gives you a lot of information. Okay, the first term is here, which is that, say it's written 1. In 1 it means that the principal quantum number is 0. Okay, the principal quantum number is 0. And then D state, you know, we are considering the energy state. So S is equal to 0, L is equal to 1, S is equal to 0, P is equal to 1, D is equal to 2 and so on. So when it's D, we know that L is equal to 2. So this is also something which you already know. The subscript that we have here is giving the J value. So this is your J. So J is equal to 5 by 2. Okay, and spin is half. So spin is half. So whenever a notation is given something like this, you can actually find out a number of quantum numbers from here. You can find out n, you can find out L, you can tell about J, you can in fact also talk about Mj. Okay, mj, so the magnetic quantum number, okay, because you already know J values. And from there you can also tell what is the multiplicity, okay. So we are just going to look into that, but before that, this is already there, we already know, but before that let's just have a look into the energy levels now, okay. Now let's see what is happening here. So there is a difference between this part and this part. So this particular part, I'm going to come to that later, I have that slide also. This particular part is the Woods-Saxon potential, okay. It is nothing but the Woods-Saxon potential, this part, this one, okay. And then I see that there is a splitting here. So this is also Woods-Saxon potential because that is the one which we are studying. But here we have the additional term of L dot S. So L dot S is there. So it is Woods-Saxon potential plus L dot S. So if you just consider the Woods-Saxon potential, these are the energy levels that you have, okay, if you solve the energy values. But then if you include splitting, that means if you include L dot S, you are going to see that this is the energy level that you have. That means each energy level will split. S does not split, P does split, okay, D does split, S does not split again, the 2S energy level, and so on, okay. So we'll see that there is a splitting. You should also observe this, okay. I'll keep this slide for some time because this is important, okay. And if you Google the image of energy levels for a nuclei, okay, including Woods-Saxon potential, you can actually get this image, okay. So don't worry about this, this is a very common image available online. So when we look into this, you see that this is the S level, and the maximum number of quantum particle that it can hold is 2, right. But then we have got something which we call as the P state, okay. So you know P state, that means L is equal to 1, right, L is equal to 1, right. So J value, so we can say this here, L is equal to 1, okay. So the J value, okay, the J value would be nothing but L plus half and L minus half, right. So L plus half and L minus half, L minus half. So when we consider this P state, okay, when we consider this P state, L plus half means 1 plus half, which is 3 by 2, okay, and L minus half, that means 1 minus half, which is half. So it is basically splitting into two energy levels, one having a J value of 3 by 2 and other having a J value of half, okay. So you see this 3 by 2 and half. So please don't get confused. You don't really need to remember this energy levels, okay, but then you need to know how to find out the splitting and how to write down the multiplicity of states. So see, multiplicity of states, that means multiplicity of states will give me how many atoms are possible in this, or how many neutrons or protons are possible in this if you consider the nuclear state, okay. So why it is 4? Because if you consider the multiplicity, okay, if you consider the multiplicity m, let's say, or mj, which is the magnetic quantum number, this is always 2j plus 1. 2j plus 1. I have it in the next slide actually. I think I've written it. 2j plus 1. So you see the j value is half here. So that means it is 2 into half plus 1. So 2 into half plus 1 is nothing but 2. So it is 2 here. So please don't get confused. If this is half, this will be 2j plus 1, which is half. And this one would be 2j plus 1 again. So it will be 2 and 2 will get cancelled. So it is 3 plus 1, which is 4. So it comes out to be 4. So if you take the second case, if you take this case, this will take 2j plus 1. This is going to be 4. Okay. This is not something which you're supposed to write in your exams. Okay. But I think you should know it. If I'm asking you a question about the energy level, you can just simply write it directly 4, 2 and so on. You don't need to show the calculation. Of course, if I specifically ask you why it is 4, why it is 2, why it is 6, then of course you need to write it down, okay, specifically, very important. So that means there are 4 electron, proton, neutron, whatever state you are considering here, system you are considering, you have it here, and there are 2. So that means in the P state we have got 6, 4 plus 2. Mind you, all of them has got a different quantum state altogether, okay, because if you have 3 by 2, okay, if you have 3 by 2, okay, I'll go to the next slide and explain that even better. Let's just explain the magic numbers now. So you see this is 2, this is 4, this is 2. So this is 4 plus 2 6 plus 2 8. So the second cell is full now. Okay, all these bracket that has been given actually indicates the closed shells. Okay, these are indicated by the magic numbers of the nucleon. These will actually represent the closed shell. So you see in the second shell this becomes 8. Let's go to the third shell. Now in the third shell it has been seen that the D and the 2s state are together. Okay, so n is equal to 2 now. Okay, the principal quantum number. Okay, when n is equal to we have these values which actually define on how higher the energy levels are. Okay, for a particular state. So for the s state it's 2, that means it's quite high. Okay, so we have it here, and then we actually consider this as 1d. Okay, so 1d. So when we talk about this 1d, see this again gets splitted. Okay, and then we have got d3 by 2, d5 by 2. Now before I proceed further, I do have a question for you. The question is, why does this p half is above 3 by 2? That is the question. I hope you can find out the answer, because if I ask you in exam you should be able to write out. Consider it as a small assignment. Okay, why p half is above p3 by 2? p3 by 2, like you might think that okay, j value 3 by 2, that means it is 1.5, j value half, that means it is 0.5. So 0.5 may lie below 3 by 2, but why 3 by 2 is below half? That is a question that I'd like to ask. Okay, try to find out the answer for that. Okay, let's go to the next energy level. Here we see that d3 by 2, d5 by 2 and 2s, all of them are forming a very close space. Okay, they are formed in a very close space, so they are basically considered as another shell. Okay, so if you consider that, you have got 4 plus 2 6, 6 plus 6 12. So you have got 12 of them together. At bottom we had 8, so if you add them up it is 20. So again we have got a closed shell up to this particular point. Okay, next what happens is the f state. So this is something which you might have to remember. Okay, you might not be able to derive it. The values you can derive, but not this. Let's say go for the f state. Okay, so we know how to get 7 by 2, because you know when it's f state it is s p d f, right? S is 0, p is 1, d is 2, f is 2, 3, sorry, f is 3. So it will be 2 into you can take 2j plus 1, right? So basically get the f state. So when we get this 7 by 2, what we have is here is 8 numbers, and these 8 are totally spaced out. Okay, they are at a very large space compared to these states. So although f gets splitted into 5 by 2 and 7 by 2, but the splitting is very large. The splitting is very large. So that's why they are not considered in the same shell. So this 8 is totally separate. Now this is something which was not observed in this potential or the harmonic oscillator potential or the infinite square potential. This is observed here. Because of this splitting, the energy gaps are too high, and that's why this 8 can be considered totally separate. So we have got 20 plus only 8, 28. This is our fourth magic number. So that means shell model has started explaining it better now. We have reached the fourth magic number, and eventually it is seen that actually they satisfy all the magic numbers if we keep on adding them up. Okay, and then if we see the next, see p state gets splitted, but then they are close each other, so 2 and 4 is fine, but one of the f state gets intermingled. Okay, it gets mixed with the p state. So that means it is 2 plus 4 6, 6 plus 6 12. So you've got 12 here, so you get 28. Okay, plus 12, and a g state which comes very close to this p state. So this is also considered. So that means now this is one entire shell. So we have got this 22. So 28 plus 22 is 50. So see, this theory is explaining magic number much better. What do you need to remember for exam? Yes, of course, the splitting part and everything is important. But then if you are actually explaining shell model based on the Woods-Saxon potential plus the spin orbit interaction, you have to draw this diagram. You cannot ignore this diagram, okay, because this diagram is actually very important. So in exam, please don't ignore this. Try to draw this diagram and explain how we actually getting the magic numbers. You again cannot make much of mistake. You should actually try to draw in such a way that this 8 is far from this 4 or this 4. Okay, from this 4 or this 4, the H should be a bit far. So just practice it once or twice so that you actually come up with the right drawing. Okay, let's just look into this part now. Quantum energy, these parts, okay, this A1s, 1p, 1d, 2s, 1f, 2p, 1g, these all actually will represent the quantum energy state or potential well, including angular momentum effect. So these are actually all representing the angular momentum effect. It does not show the spin orbit interaction. So if we actually do the further splitting, we actually have the spin orbit effect. And because of this spin orbit effect, these are actually splitting. Okay. And all these values individually, 8, 10, 2, 6 and so on, individually are called the multiplicity. Multiplicity tells you how many number of quantum particles can occupy that particular state. Okay. And if we have those values, we can actually find out and draw the energy level diagrams in case of shell model. So you see, this slide itself has taken me more than 5 to 7 minutes to explain. There is a lot of understanding here, but for exam probably you have to just remember how to draw it. Okay, no need to explain so many things, because whatever I have said is nothing but to make you understand better. Okay, so it's complete in itself. Okay, so if you basically consider the quantum states half and minus half, okay, let's say for mj value you want to find out. Okay, so for mj value you can just write it down as 1 plus half, which is 3 by 2. Okay, and you can actually get 3 by 2 half minus 3 by 2. So there are 4 states here, or the multiplicity is 4 here. Okay, or let's go down into a better example. This was for L is equal to 1, and let's say for j is equal to 5 by 2. So I'll directly go for j value. So if j is equal to 5 by 2, the possible values of mj are 5 by 2, 3 by 2, half, minus 3 by 2, minus 5 by 2. So how many are there? There are 6 values. Okay. So for j is equal to 5 by 2, there are 6 values. Let's get back to the previous slide and see if it tallies. So find out where j is 5 by 2. See, this is j is 5 by 2. Okay. And this is j 5 by 2. Okay, so you see, if this is 5 by 2, you have got 6 here. If this is 5 by 2, you have got 6 here. This is 9 by 2, so it will be 10 values, right? It will be minus 9 by 2, minus 7 by 2, minus 5 by 2. Okay, and so minus 3 by 2, minus half, then half, 3 by 2, 5 by 2, 7 by 2, 9 by 2. So if they add them up, you get 10 values. So their multiplicity is 10. Okay, so you learn about these things further in your atomic and molecular physics, but anyway, I've given you a heads up because this is important for nuclear physics. Okay, so this is how the number of quantum particles are decided, because you see all of them has got a different mj value, sorry, all of them has got a different mj value. This is 5, this is 3 by 2, half by 2. So all of them has got a different quantum number. Mj is also a quantum number, so that means Pauli's exclusion principle is not violated. Okay, there the Pauli exclusion principle says that no two particle with the same quantum number can occupy the same state, right? But then we have all of the mj values different, so all of them has got a separate quantum number, so they can occupy that same state. So that means if I consider this diagram, I can actually have 6 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so you can have 6 here. So this is possible. So this is what quantum mechanics and atomic and molecular physics tells me. So you know, you cannot separate nuclear physics from certain preliminary subjects. Atomic, molecular is there. You need to have concept about quantum. You need to have concept about mathematical physics and so on. Okay, so then that is why that is very important. You also need to appreciate that why classical mechanics could not explain things. Okay. So I will just list down some important conclusion. This is not the exhaustive list. There can be more conclusions to it. Okay. So one of the most important conclusion is for heavier nuclei. If you are considering lighter nuclei, even the harmonic oscillator or the infinite potential, they can explain. Up to 20 magic number, it is not a problem. But if you basically consider a heavier nuclei, you are basically considering the magic number which is higher, right? So you need to consider this L dot S factor. Okay. So you have to match it with the magic number of experimental result. So just get back into the basics again. How do we know the experimental result? We plot a graph between binding energy per nucleon and the atomic number. Then we get certain peaks. And if those peaks needs to be explained, we need to use this Wurtz-Jackson potential with L dot S interaction. So what happens is finite square potential is more realistic. So the term is finite here. It should be finite, okay? But then what happens is there is a sharp change in potential, which is again unrealistic. So we basically consider an infinite well, it is different. But if you consider a finite well, but then there is a sharp change, which is again unrealistic, and hence we need to smooth that out. So if you know, if you want to have a smooth kind of structure or a smooth kind of graph, okay, you basically consider something which is an exponential function. So Woods-Saxon potential actually matches the reality because it is more connected to an exponential function. So that's important. So this is your Woods-Saxon potential. So see, this is actually nothing but going up very smoothly. So this is where we stop. It's still not over. We have got some more things to do.